And why would you even call out Joe Rogan when Joe Rogan is friends with Dana and put Dana in a tough spot to have to defend you? And
he's freaking out. He's getting from Tim Pool, Patrick Bet-David, Joe Rogan. I don't think anybody in the Trump camp is telling him to pick a fight with Joe Rogan. I think he's just doing it himself.
I mean, you've got the, nobody's giving him advice to do that. Absolutely not. If I would have get caught like doing anything like that ever.
MAGA and Trump community, I'm a little bit concerned, and there's a blind spot I want to bring up to you. What benefit do you get from calling out Joe Rogan for complimenting RFK? What benefit? What benefit do you get from saying, I wonder how people are going to boom at the next UFC fight when Joe Rogan walks in? Do you realize who are the only two names that have been constant the last 20 years in the UFC brand? One guy's name is Dana White, who is feared and respected. The other guy's name is Joe Rogan, who is loved, liked, and respected.
Okay, fully admit, I don't know all about UFC or any of that. Wasn't Joe Rogan more popular in the UFC scene like 5 years ago? Does he still do a ton of commentary? I know I've seen him come in and commentate now, but I feel like he's more known as a podcaster now, right? Or I could be totally wrong, I'm not sure.
Do you think UFC is going to flip on Joe because he complimented RFK?
He still does a lot. He's still very popular. Okay.
On the vaccine position that he fought Fauci and we wrote.
That's pretty cool. I like it when people come from areas and then they still do that shit even if they grow somewhere else. That's nice.
This book, you think they're going to do that? And why would you even call out Joe Rogan when Joe Rogan is friends with Dana and put Dana in a tough spot to have to defend you and Joe? And obviously Dana's he's a pro, he's a boss, he's a street guy, he's dealt with everybody. He's not going to have a problem handling that. But do you think that's the right move? And it gets me to continue thinking.
We still clean carpets? Yeah. I got new rugs on all my shit. My kitchen and my computer area looks so cute. I don't think I can show you. Wait, you can kind of see it. Look. Wait. Look. Wait. No. Look at my new area rug. I had to move all my stuff off the floor to put it down. I got Gorilla Grip tape to keep it in the right place on the floor.
This is the difficult part, is when a clear delineation is not made and Nick Fuentes ultimately makes his way to your dinner table at your private estate.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
And Nick Fuentes ultimately makes his way to your dinner table at your private estate alongside the likes of Kanye West.
But are you willing tonight to condemn white supremacists and militia groups and to say that they need to stand down and not add to the violence in a number of these cities, as we saw in Kenosha and as we've seen in Portland?
Sure,
are you
I'm
prepared to specifically
do it?
Well, go ahead,
I would say almost everything I see is from the left wing, not from the right wing.
So what are you saying?
I'm willing to do anything. I want to see peace.
Then do it, sir.
Say it. Do it. Say it. Do you want to call him? What do you want to call them? Give me a name. Give me a
white
name.
Supremacists and
white
supremacists and right
Proud Boys. Stand back and stand by. But I'll tell you what.
Perhaps no moment revealed Donald Trump more than that one.
Is she in front of a green screen?
Right there.
Do you think that Trump actually misspoke there when he said stand back and stand by? I don't think he actually meant stand by, like stay ready for later. When I watched that, I try to be charitable, but it's just such an odd way to f up. Because he was already given the words, right? Do you tell them to, didn't she ask, like, should they stand down or something? Like I think he was, hold on, let me read.
But are you willing tonight to condemn white supremacists and militia groups and to say that they need to stand down and...
Yeah, so he's already given the script. Do they need to stand down?
Not add to the violence in a number of these cities, as we saw in Kenosha and as we've seen in Portland.
Sure,
are you
I'm
prepared to specifically
do it?
Well, go ahead,
I would say almost everything I see is from the left wing, not from the right wing.
So what are you saying?
I'm willing to do anything. I want to see peace.
Then do it, sir.
Say it. Do it. Say it. Do you want to call him? What do you want to call him? Give me a name. Give me a
white
name.
Supremacists and right supremacists and right
Proud Boys. Stand back and stand by. But I'll tell you what.
It's such an odd way to fumble that. It's just such an odd way to fumble that.
Who is pulling the plug in support of Donald Trump? Some of those same white supremacists, one of whom dined with Donald Trump at his club at Mar-a-Lago, coming out and declaring war today against his campaign. Nick Fuentes now says Trump isn't living up to the American...
Is that the whole clip? Well, no, afterwards he goes on to attack the left.
America First values that Fuentes and his band of white supremacists expect.
It's an odd fumble, but a nothing burger. Is it an odd fumble and a nothing burger when Donald Trump is asked to condemn a group that would later be involved in the first breaching of the Capitol grounds that would go on to have its leader and multiple members convicted of seditious conspiracy against the United States? I mean, you realize you guys could only dream of Democrats having a connection this strong to any sort of group like that, right? Can you imagine if Biden was asked to condemn Burisma and Hunter, and Biden was like, here's what I'd say, Jack. Hunter, keep doing business and I'll keep getting them prosecutors. But what we really need to talk about is Kushner, right? Like, no way, bro. You would be losing your mind.
Adding this quote, without serious changes, we're headed for a catastrophic loss.
This is the difficult part, is when a clear delineation is not made and Nick Fuentes ultimately makes his way to your dinner table at your private estate alongside the likes of Kanye West. Suddenly there are some added expectations. And let's be very clear, Nick Fuentes has been a long-time figure calling for Groyper Nation, which is another word for white nationalists. He is called Christian white males the secret sauce of America. He said January 6th did not go far enough. And so in his eyes, Donald Trump, who has been atop the Republican Party for 8-9 years now, there was a higher set of expectations. And Donald Trump, in his view, is not wholly fulfilling them. At the same time, I want to be clear here, Donald Trump, right, just earlier this week, you'll recall who Nick Fuentes went and had dinner with at Mar-a-Lago in 2022. It was the likes of, now known as Kanye West, who just earlier this week kind of got lost amid everything else here. But Donald Trump said about Kanye West, was specifically saying that he was complicated, but, quote, a really nice guy. Quote, he's got a good heart. And so yet, in a lot of ways, that's still not good enough for a lot of people like Nick Fuentes.
A major sign that Trump isn't a good business/org leader is that he just hires anyone that sucks his dick off. Yeah, I'm so curious about, like, his path to being a billionaire. I'm so curious about that. I want to know, was he just set up for it, or how? How did this happen? Because, yeah, he seems to lack, like, what I would imagine, like, every good quality in a leader, or like even somebody that would be like a businessman. He was a billionaire before The Apprentice, right? People say born with a silver spoon, but his family, he wasn't born as a billionaire. I don't think his dad had a net worth. Was it even in the hundreds of millions? The Apprentice made him $450 million? No shot. Even at 15 seasons, there's no way. No shot. That show is ridiculously popular? Yeah, but, like, that would just be an absurd amount of money to make for acting. Well, let's see. How much money has Judge Judy made? I think she's, like, the most well-paid TV person, I think, in all of history, I think. So she has an estimated net worth of $480 million. I think she's the most paid person, maybe in all of entertainment ever. What is, like, Robert Downey Jr.'s net worth? 300 million? Highest paid actors of all time. Who's going to be number one? It's got to be, like, people are saying The Rock. I don't know if The Rock has been in enough movies like that have been that. I wonder, is Leo up there? It's got to be, like, Marvel people. Let's check. Okay, we've got Keanu Reeves, Bruce Willis. That's true. Bruce Willis at his height. Oof, this guy was crushing it. Tom Cruise, Will Smith, makes sense. Okay. Oh, and these are also for a single production. God damn. $30 million. Per movie. Or was this for both movies? Even if it was for both, $15 million. $14 million for The Sixth Sense? Holy shit. Oh, salary for an individual movie. Captain America: Civil War, $40 million for Robert Downey Jr. God damn. They filmed those at the same time? Oh, okay. Johnny Depp got $35 million for this dog shit movie? I don't even think I watched this. Is this the one with Davy Jones, or is this a different one? This movie grossed $1 billion? Okay, well, me, I guess. Jesus. I don't think you understand. Here's the issue, okay? Here's the issue, okay, you plebeian f***s, all right? I don't even know who the director was for the first Pirates movie. Gore Verbinski. Who knows? The thing is that this movie was flawless kino. This movie was so good, okay, that the next two Pirates movies were like, okay. Like, they weren't bad, I guess. But the thing is that this first movie was, like, perfect, okay? This was the Lord of the Rings in one movie for Pirates movies, okay? This was such a good movie. The other, I think, like I watched the Davy Jones one. They're not, like, bad. They're like, okay. They're fine. Maybe even, like, better than average. But this movie was... every scene. Fuck. We watched that one guy do a huge, like a 45-minute review of it. He goes over basically everything. Because it's true. Because almost every single scene in this movie is kino. Almost all of them are kino. It's such a good movie. This is just kino, right? And then people see this and then you have like the Davy Jones. I mean, all the other pirate movies the other two are okay. And then whatever.
You were saying something about Harris?
Yeah. These rallies are pretty
fucking awesome, aren't they, man? 20,000 people in Arizona. He's freaking out. He's in full-blown panic mode. Like, she's beating him in swing states. She's beating him in the national poll. She's kicking his ass fundraising-wise. He's getting shit from Tim Pool, Patrick Bet-David, Joe Rogan. It's not going great, and I love it. Like, I'm happy for the first time in months. Good
He
shit.
did do that rally in Montana, though. Very important.
He did have that. He did have that rally in Montana. And the thing is, just totally unnecessary. I mean, he's almost certainly going to sweep Montana. Somebody said that, or I read somewhere that it's like a political revenge tour, but I wasn't able to like do any deep dive. I don't know if he's like...
I watched a video last night over it, and then I replayed it for stream, but I walked away. Something about he hates like one of the dudes involved, so he went to help like a local official run for his election or something. And
yeah, so the thing is, though, at what point do they come to terms with the idea that he's an idiot? So, like, what's interesting to me is the people who are criticizing him now. So you have Poole and Patrick Bet-David, and there's a guy called, like, Eric Erickson, who's, like, a quasi-Trump Republican radio host. He's still trying to be as neo-conservative as possible. But when they criticize Trump, it's always like, what are these advisors telling him? Like, who's getting into the Trump war? How about it's just Trump being Trump? I don't think anybody in the Trump camp is telling him to pick a fight with Joe Rogan. I think he's just doing it himself.
I mean, you've got nobody's giving him advice to do that. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Where's that 4chan green text about Trump? It's just that. And it's also the it's also that Nick Fuentes clip. Hold on.
Yeah, Fuentes went off. Yeah, and Laura Loomer. Do you know who Laura Loomer is?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, so she had this like whole like lengthy Twitter thing where she's like, he's gonna lose if he doesn't like get his shit together.
God damn it, I'm not gonna find it. Where is the one? It's like 4 lines long, and it's like bros. Maybe he was just a retard the whole time. I'm not gonna be able to find it. But
yeah, I don't think, did even Fuentes come out and say that? Like, I know Fuentes says he supports Trump, but he's like, I thought he was like picking a fight with Trump's consultants. Like, he's also blaming Trump's advisors instead of Trump.
Sure. I mean, the gripers are unhappy for, I think, a separate reason. But I was referring to, there's a really funny Fuentes. It was like a 30 or 40 second thing. Like, I think it was like 6 months ago. He might have been ironic when he was saying it, but all of it was true. But it was something where he was like, like, there is no, people didn't die from the vax. There is no whatever. This didn't happen. Hunter Biden didn't get caught. Nothing is happening or whatever. Does anybody know the clip I'm talking about? Please, somebody find me this clip. I just referenced 2 things that I can't source, and I feel like a loser.
No, I had no idea that he said shit like that. I don't even know what the relationship is between them anymore. I thought somebody said that he was like.
I don't know if they ever
working
had a
with
relationship.
Kanye.
I think that Fuentes, there's a lot of meme rumored shit that goes around. But it's possible that Fuentes literally got snuck into that dinner by Milo. And he was never really supposed to be there.
I see that. I see the meme thing.
Oh yeah, this was it. Yeah. I don't remember what this was in response to, but yeah. Hold on. Was it this clip? Hold on. I'm sending you something else.
Sure.
Or wait, actually. Oh no, I can't do that. Yeah. Okay, wait. It might have been this.
The vaccinated have not mass died off yet. Israel has not been destroyed. CERN has not opened a portal to hell. Russia's not taken over Ukraine. There is no nuclear war. Hillary Clinton is alive. What the fuck?
Oh no. I think for the gripers, I think for a big part of Nick, is at his heart. How old is Fuentes? Is he 26 or 27?
I have no idea. I don't even know what does Groiper mean, by the way. Like, I am so new to this.
That's a
like,
Nick Fuentes
is it an
fan.
acronym? Yeah, but is it like an acronym, or is there like what's the genesis?
I have no
of
idea
the
what it
words?
comes from. I just know.
Okay.
Yeah, he's 25. At his heart, Nick is a young man, like an older boy. He's grown up. He's a young man. He really likes Kanye West. Gripers and the America First movement, they started primarily, I think, as like a meme movement, right? It was like counterculture, like heavily meme driven. They've got like a huge subculture. They're very active in their forum and on their Telegram and in their Twitter groups. And they've got like a whole like community. Like Fuentes is like comparable to me as a streamer, I think, in terms of like how active and engaged this community is. So I think with this in mind, they want to feel like they're hip and cool and at like the front of like the culture movement, the culture wars. And as stupid as it is, I think watching Trump get hit and then kind of become unpopular and like seem a little bit cringe, I think for some groups of people, that's honestly the biggest fear that you have, is that your guy is no longer based in awesome, but cringe and gay. And I think that for Fuentes' movement, I think when they start to see Trump being like kind of cringe, it like hurts a lot, and then they create distance. That's just the feeling that I have. But I think that plays into their thought process quite a bit.
Well, it is interesting how people like engage in revisionist history about Trump's popularity. Piers Morgan does it all the time to your face, by the way, when you're on these panels where he talks about, Trump's popularity. Trump has never been popular. He's lost the popular vote to every Democratic challenger who's ever faced him. And even when he was president, he never cracked 50% in approval. Like that's the thing. To me, I think it's so important to hammer this home, because when we were wherever we were earlier this year doing the deep canvassing stuff, where you were there, I can't remember if it was Ohio or Wisconsin or wherever it was, but the conservative girl there, Lauren, she is of the opinion, or she was at the time, she told Adam Mockler and said it to my face, and I was just stunned. I'm like, she thinks Donald Trump is the most popular president in American history, more popular than Barack Obama and other people too. And it's like, no, he never was. Like, Biden, as unpopular as he is now, like for the first 6 or 7 months of his presidency, had a 50+% approval rating. It was just about the time of the Afghanistan withdrawal that he started to go under. Like, Trump has never been popular, and he's capped. I still think he can win this election, maybe because of
maybe just popular within the conservative party, because I think within Republicans,
yes, yeah. Now that, I mean, now there's no question there, because they'll gladly forsake all their principles and policy positions for whatever he happens to feel that day. But I heard your conversation with Hutch yesterday, or maybe it was the day before, but I'm not quite as optimistic as that. I still think that Trump can win this election.
Yeah, that's definitely true. 1,000,000,000,000%. There's no way that you would ever say that Trump is 100% lost. But the path they're on right now is 100% lost. That something has to change, and there are plenty of things that could change, but something has to change. I'm curious where that'll come from. I feel like right now they're looking for something external. But another problem too is now the thing that sucks is, like, externally, I think that Kamala is a bit more insulated from what happens because she's not Biden, right? So if the economy has issues, they can't really attack her on the Afghanistan thing as well as maybe they could for Biden. There's not much that they can go off of. And I don't even know if she would get, they're trying to do the border thing, but I don't know how convincing that.
Yeah. So what's interesting is I saw a poll, I think it was CNBC that had it today, that Kamala, right now, Harris has erased Trump's lead on the economy with younger voters. And that's the one area, I think even more than immigration, where Republicans have enjoyed just a colossal polling advantage for like 30 years, right? They're always seen as handling the economy better. And I don't know what it is. I think some of it is because she's a cipher, like you said. She's part of the Biden administration, so she can simultaneously do whenever she wants situationally. She can say, this is the Biden-Harris administration. I can also claim credit or take credit for all the cool shit that Biden did. But then if she wants to separate herself from him, she can do that too. What's interesting is how she'll be able to do that with Gaza, right, or Israel, because that's not an area that I follow particularly closely, but she's been heckled like in the last two speeches that she gave, even in the Arizona one yesterday. And her response to it yesterday was actually so well received that she was getting kudos. I don't know if Hassan gave her kudos, but I think Vosh did, and Mehdi Hassan and a bunch of others like, yeah, okay, this is how you respond, where she was like, we got to call for a ceasefire, but basically shut the fuck up. She said it very politely, like, yep, we're going to call for a ceasefire. We're definitely going to do shit, but I got to get back onto my stump speech. And so I think for her to have responded well enough to, I don't want to say silence her more leftist critics, but to like satisfy them in the moment, I think that's a really good sign. I think that, I don't know, the momentum is stunning. I am kind of surprised because some people say that this is like Obama 2008 energy, and I was 17 years old at the time and wasn't paying too close attention to politics. Is that how it feels for you? Do you feel like Obama levels of energy from this, or do you think that's an exaggeration?
It's hard for me to say because back then I was feeling that energy, but it was for Ron Paul. So I was a Ron Paulinite. All right. I was a libertarian stand back then. So
yeah, I don't know. I just, they say the crowds and the energy, but I can't really speak to that, but I'm more optimistic than I was. Getting back to Game of Thrones, I asked you this before and you didn't have a strong position on it, but I am curious. All right. Let's pretend at the end of season 4, Tyrion does not kill Tywin. Tywin is alive at the end of season 4. Daenerys eventually invades, but if Tywin is still running the country, does she beat Tywin?
No, not even close.
She has 3 dragons, though. What do you say to the dragons?
He would do it. He would figure it out. Tywin is too smart. Do you remember why Oberyn was a judge in the trial?
Yeah, because fucking phenomenal scene where he talks to him in the brothel and he's like, hey, listen, you and I hate each other, but I need you on my team because the wildlings are here and Stannis is here and all this other shit.
Yeah, because I think he specifically said to him when the Targaryens, ruled the skies before dragons, I think that the
Ornish were the only people.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I think Tywin would have figured it out. The thing is that Cersei was just a horrible leader in every conceivable way. She was just bad. Every decision she made was like selfish and stupid, and she tried to like rule by fear and oppression, and she was just dumb. She was just stupid. Yeah.
I will say, so it was one of those things where I think finally the show got ahead of the books, because obviously none of this happened in the books, or at least has happened in them yet. But when she basically flipped the board at the end of season 6, I remember thinking at the time, okay, that was fucking cool. She was checkmated. The High Sparrow had her checkmated. He had her son and his influence and all this other shit, and there was going to be a trial. And so she basically blows the thing up. But then I got thinking about it before the next season came, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be a disaster because she basically killed the Pope, and there's going to be this populist uprising or whatever, revolt. And none of that happened. Like there was never any consequences to her basically hitting the reset button. And I think that was when I really thought that the show was never, like, it was so far removed from what it was, because can't speak for you, as cool as Battle of the Bastards was or Hard Home was, to me the political intrigue was really the best part of the show. And the flashy special effects that really wasn't it for me.
Yeah, of course. I mean, like, that's, yeah, anybody that watched it like knows that. Yeah.
Do you think there was any way to satisfactorily end the show, knowing that it was always heading towards apocalypse and ice zombies, and it was going to move away from the intrigue and the palace shit?
Well, I think the issue is that George R.R. Martin is a guy that just writes, and then he just sees where everything goes. But the problem is it's hard to wrap things up in a satisfying way, I think, when you do story writing like that. So there was no way so who knows, like, could D&D have ended that show in a satisfying way when George doesn't even know how to end it? I'm not sure. Who knows?
Yeah.
What would Tywin have
remember-
done to the High Sparrow? Tywin would have never gambled so stupidly with putting somebody like that in power.
Somebody in chat asked that?
Yeah, Tywin, I think, was really good about. I think Tywin was really good about recognizing the strengths of his adversaries instead of just like casting them all aside. Like he would fight multiple times about. I think he did for even Robb Stark, right? He created a whole plan. Like if Tywin would have died before Robb Stark would have won the war.
Yeah. He won every battle. That's precisely why the Red Wedding happened, is because Tywin tried to beat him conventionally in the field and it just didn't work. So he was like,
and he got him. He got him good.
See, now you guys are talking my language. What's up, Mr. Josiah? It's been a minute.
What's up, buddy?
No, Steven's right. Daenerys could never defeat Tywin because
she's a retard.
Tywin wouldn't. Well, Tywin would make sure that Daenerys would never get to Westeros because remember, he was setting up plans and motions to remove her counselors. I love the idea that Tywin was behind the Harpy movement to kill her advisors because that's what happened to Barristan.
Wait, no, he was the one. He sent the letter. He got Jorah exiled. I forgot about it because that's not in the books. That's not how it happens in the books. Steven, you remember that where he was responsible for Sir Friendzone being kicked out.
Sir Friendzone.
Yeah, what was that for again? I don't remember what for.
Jorah, Sir Friendzone was. You correct me if I'm wrong, Red, but he was an informant for Varys in Daenerys' camp.
I don't know if Jorah gets kicked out so much that Jorah betrays them.
No, but he kept it on the DL, like nobody knew. And then Tywin, there was a small council meeting with Oberyn, and Varys is like, "Hey, listen, you guys need to worry about Daenerys. She's got these 3 dragons, and everyone's advising her now." And so then Tywin says, "Hey, can you get any of your spies into her city?" And she's like, and Varys is like, "Yeah, sure." And he goes, "Okay, give me my pen and paper." And he wrote a fucking letter basically giving Jorah the pardon and made sure it got to Daenerys. That's how Daenerys found out. She got a letter from Tywin, the pardon. Dude, I forgot. Oh, that's a good point, Red. I forgot about that.
Yeah, so Tywin would make sure that she would never be able to get to Westeros. And he would, the idea back when the seasons were airing was that Tywin was behind the Harpy movement. At one point in season 6, at the very first episode, Daenerys' entire fleet is set ablaze. People thought that Tywin was behind that or that he would have done something about that. Steven's right. She would have never gotten to Westeros. As for the dragons...
I will say just as a quick thing, I'm right in spirit. But in actuality, I would be wrong because Daenerys has, unfortunately, impenetrable plot armor. So she would have won through some complete and total. A 4th dragon would have spawned and killed fucking Tywin or some bullshit. But
Tywin would have been like, "You are my queen."
Sure,
I don't want it.
Tywin should have won, but some bullshit plot armor device maybe would have allowed Daenerys to win. But yeah, sorry. Okay.
Are either you boys checking out House of the Dragon, the prequel?
Yeah,
I watched 2 episodes and got bored.
Steven's committed. He's going to watch the.
I'm not.
Both seasons after he watches Andor.
Oh god.
Oh dude, you haven't seen Andor yet?
No, he fucking hasn't.
I don't have time.
Oh my god, it's so good. Oh, it's so good. You can fit it into your schedule somewhere. Andor at least is like what Star Wars needs to be, man. It's so good.
It's so Star Wars, Game of Thrones, man.
It really is.
What is it with you? Why is it when people you at least like a little bit make a recommendation, you refuse to do it? I think it's because somebody recommended Dune to him and he hates Dune and he's like,
I don't hate Dune. Dune 1 was just horrendously overrated. Dune 2 was much better though.
Okay.
He did the same thing with Oppenheimer. He hates Oppenheimer.
That was just a dog shit movie. I'm sorry. That was just a horrible fuck movie. My God, what a terrible trash fucking movie. God, fuck, it's so bad.
I haven't seen it. I can't opine about that.
Hold on. I gotta, now that Pisco is here trying to get my goat in chat. I wish I would have remembered this, or not remembered this. I wish I would have this guy, okay, my other lawyer friend, my better lawyer friend, okay, email me. I wish I had this on speed dial. Where was this? But just as a quick thing, somebody else emailed me a thing, and I don't have the abbreviation for it. They're called like Burks or some bullshit. It's like an abbreviation that stands for different crimes. If you are committing a crime, okay, 18 USC 924, if you are committing a crime, if you have a violent felony, if you have a firearm on you, okay, it's automatically bumped, okay? So penalties, section C, except to the extent that a greater minimum sentence is otherwise provided by this subsection or by any other provisions of law, any person who, during and in relation to any crime of violence or drug trafficking crime, including a crime of violence or drug trafficking crime that provides for an enhanced punishment if committed by the use of a deadly or dangerous weapon or device, for which the person may be prosecuted in a court of the United States, uses or carries a firearm, or who, in furtherance of any such crime, possesses a firearm, shall, in addition to the punishment provided for such crime of violence or drug trafficking crime, be sentenced to a term, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, just having a gun on you for a violent crime on any of this shit is considered part of like an enhancement for a for any type of sentencing shit. The idea that you could go and commit a violent crime and then have a gun on you and say like, oh, I just had this for self-defense, I'm not like, is so beyond retarded. God. Okay, sorry. That's totally unrelated. Anyway, fuck House of the Dragon. I watched 2 episodes, I was bored, and I was done.
I mean, again, it's not the first 4 seasons of Game of Thrones. But hang on, Squishy ECA, Tywin did not exile Jorah. No, Daenerys exiled Jorah because Tywin sent the royal pardon to Barristan Selmy, knowing that Selmy would take it to Daenerys. That's how he did it, because Tywin was playing 4D chess. God damn it, I forgot about that. Listen, he really is just the best character. I would argue that Tywin Lannister is a better TV villain than even Gus Fring, and Gus Fring.
Ooh, that's high praise right there. Gus Fring is great.
You kind of say that, but just don't forget, okay? Also, please, okay? I implore you, okay? What you think of all the Game of Thrones characters is just not what they are, okay? Because remember, all of the characters that made it to the end of the show were much better in the beginning of the show, okay?
Yes, they were.
Jaime was a badass, okay? Everybody was so much cooler and so much better. So you have memories of how horrible these characters were. Tyrion was awesome. But remember, those memories were tarnished by their presence in the last 4 seasons, okay?
Oh. Hey, okay, Tyrion, just one second here. So do you all remember in season 8, I think it was when Winterfell was under siege by the White Walkers, and Tyrion takes the women and children to the crypt? Do you all remember that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so listen. So I failed to predict this, but I remember watching the premiere of that particular episode with some friends, and a buddy of mine was like, "That's really fucking stupid. He can raise the dead." And I'm like, "Well, there's got to be it has to be like the freshly dead or something. Like these things have been dead for like centuries or decades. There's no fucking way that otherwise Tyrion wouldn't be stupid enough to take them into the crypt." And I'll be goddamned if not 3 minutes later, like all of the dead started to be raised in the crypt.
To be fair, like they were buried in like hardened stone and or concrete, whatever the fuck. And you really think that like bone could tear through that? That was done for some tension. That was some bullshit. To be fair.
Yeah, and then as Chat pointed out, even Peter Dinklage thought it was pretty stupid. I don't know. I think that Game of Thrones was always, there was no way to end it on a consistently high note, because I think it was inevitable that it would always turn to the apocalyptic good versus evil, dragons versus ice dragons thing. And that is so far removed from what made the show great. You guys got to remember that prior to, I think there was Blackwater in season 2, but prior to that, were there any big battle scenes in Game of Thrones?
No. This is something that you've been watching House of the Dragon season 2, right, Jessiah?
Yeah.
So this is something that I've seen in the community a lot, and I've always rallied against it, is that people are lately calling House of the Dragon Season 2 boring, when there's more happening in House of the Dragon Season 2 than happened in Game of Thrones Season 2. And I keep having to remind people that originally Game of Thrones was always about 2 people in the same room talking and having conversations. That was always, it was never about the snow zombies and dragons, you're right. And just, it's a lot of this new crop of fans who are just bored. They don't want to listen to 2 people talking, even though, in my opinion, episode 2 of season 2 of House of the Dragon was great. And I had to keep reminding people, back in season 2 of Game of Thrones, most of the characters were sitting around doing nothing. Jon Snow was walking around in like the snow waste, doing nothing. Daenerys was in Karth doing dick. Like nobody was, Rob was just winning battles off screen. Just nothing was really going down. Tyrion and Arya, I think, were the only main characters doing anything.
Yeah, but
then the secondary characters.
But it was also well written, and the characters were cool and likable. The thing that killed me the most, I think, for House of the Dragon, why I couldn't make it past episode 2 in season 1, it was just watching the small council meetings. Because like, if I were to explain like a small council meeting to like a person who's never seen Game of Thrones. Honest to God, it sounds like the most boring shit in the world. Like the people, but like the small council scenes are some of the most memorable. And it's just, yeah, like you said, it's just people at a table talking about shit going on in the kingdom. But they were so good. There were so many memorable scenes between Ned and Robert Baratheon talking about killing the girl and Robert screaming at him as he leaves the room.
Is pregnant.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, every single thing with Robert on screen. The Free Folk bot that like spams Robert Baratheon quotes in that subreddit was so good. Tywin facing off with Joffrey. The king is tired. Tywin having that conversation where Cersei thinks that Tyrion is fucked because Tywin is going to make Tyrion marry. He thinks that Tyrion having to marry Sansa is the end for him, and then he just brings up offhandedly, also, by the way, you're going to have to marry Sir Loras or whatever, and Cersei like loses. God. They're all so good. And then, I feel like in House of Dragon, episode 2, I'm watching the small council meeting. Like, I don't give a fuck about any of this. I don't care about these people.
I just don't think they have memorable personalities. Like even Otto Hightower, who's like the hand of the king. He's I call him Diet Tywin. And the actor's good. It's like Rhys Ifans.
Rhys Ifans, yeah.
Okay, yeah. And so he's fine, but he's just like.
Well, the problem with that show is that season 1 was the prologue. Season 2 is the chapter 1. Because I do agree with some of the criticisms that like season 1 was about preparing for war and all this conflict, and then season 2 is still preparing for war and all this conflict. But him in episode 2, Otto, when he's arguing with Aegon about like all the stuff about putting him on the throne and all that was so good. Episode 2 of season 2 of House of the Dragon was just so fucking good. It reminded me a lot of early Game of Thrones. Just people having conversations, it being super interesting.
And that's exactly why Steven will love Andor when he watches it, which I know he will.
Okay, we'll see.
Come on, man.
All right.
Just so you know, season 2 of Andor is coming out 2025, Josiah. So
I know. I'm excited. I'm excited to talk about this with Steven the next time I see him because, of course, he's going to watch the whole thing. Are you and Pisco about to argue about politics?
I don't know.
Pisco, unmute, baby. Come on.
Talking all kinds of crap. All right?
Yeah.
Steven.
What's up?
What do you think you just proved with your little lawyer friend?
That you don't have to prove intent to use a firearm for
it to be a separate crime. That's not the argument. No one is saying that it couldn't be an independent crime. Even Rob grants you in that hypothetical for policy reasons. You might have, a particular crime with the possession of a gun be a separate offense. No one is disputing that. The question is, does carrying it, having it on your person while you're doing something else, equate to an intent to fire it?
Or at least a premeditated hold on.
That is the argument.
No, that wasn't the argument. While 100%. Doing something else? No, that's why every example we talked about was while committing a crime. That was why I said if I had a gun while I was breaking into your house, or if they had a gun where you're going to break into a secured area.
Perfect. We can talk about that. So number one, you recognize, right? The statutes that he's talking about, you do not need to show an intent to fire that weapon in order for you to be guilty of that offense. Yes?
Yeah.
Or no? Okay. So then it is not this is not responsive to anything, because what Rob is saying, and I'm going to agree with you on a bunch of other stuff that you said, but what Rob is saying is you having a gun with you, going and committing another crime, is not the same as a premeditated intent to fire that weapon. And
it's going to be treated the same.
Whether it's treated the same or not, first of all, no, it wouldn't. If I go and break into your house with the intent to fire and kill somebody, you would agree that that would be murder, attempted murder, right?
Sure.
If I go into your house, but the prosecution cannot prove that I'm intending to use that gun to kill somebody, but they can prove that I had the gun, will you be able to make a crime of attempted murder? No.
We can go and look up the criminal statutes, but I'm pretty sure it would count as first degree. Doesn't the intent carry over for felony murder? If I go and commit a crime and I have the intention of breaking into your house, the intention of stealing your shit, and in the course of that crime, I kill you with a weapon, doesn't that count as felony murder, which is treated as first degree murder in a lot of states?
Listen, you need to start treating me with some respect. You need to put some goddamn respect.
Was what I just said right or wrong?
what you just said about felony murder is correct, but we're not talking about felony murder. Felony murder is a legal construct. It's a legal fiction.
No, hold on. No,
yes,
wrong. No, wrong. This is an amateurish opinion. The idea that, oh, well, it's just in law, so it has no reality to the real world because it's just a legal thing. No, I think it makes sense because the idea that anybody's going to sit here and try to say, like, well, if you break into a house to, like, steal some shit and a guy shows up and you have a gun, it's not like you were intending to use it. That's a retard opinion. And the law accurately reflects that. If you break into somebody's house with a gun and you kill them, that is premeditated murder because you're obviously going to get into a scuffle and you're obviously not going to get your ass whipped. You're going to pull your gun and you're going to fucking kill them.
I'm about to destroy your world.
Go ahead, destroy me. Go ahead.
You go to a convenience store. You have a fake gun. It's made of foam. It just looks real. It can never fire. It can never hurt anybody. You point it at the store owner and you say, "Give me all the money in the register." And you say that and he has a heart attack and he dies. That's felony murder. Did you have an intent to fire that fake gun?
That might be no. Hold on.
Owned.
Okay. Do you think that's felony murder because you had a fake gun?
It's felony murder because in the commission of a deadly felony, a death was caused. You don't need to show intent to use a weapon, not use a weapon. It's a legal fiction that we're creating a malicious killing out of the commission of a deadly felony. That's a policy reason that is replacing the intent to kill or the malice and other kinds of murder.
Yes, because when you're committing violent crimes, right? The idea that if you're knowingly committing a crime, you have to show some intent to harm somebody or whatever is stupid because it's assumed that if you're already going to commit a violent crime, whatever harm may come to the people involved is probably going to be baked into the intention of committing the crime. The idea it is not only a legal fiction, it is a moral fiction.
No one cares about moral. We're not talking about moral.
Wait, are we talking about moral or legal? Which one are we talking about then?
We're talking about intent. All right. The question related to attempted murder, not felony murder. Felony murder is like a policy related legal construct where we don't have to worry about intent. That's the whole purpose of felony murder.
Well, hold on. Wait. When you say don't have to worry about intent, what do you mean there exactly?
You don't have to prove an intent to kill.
Correct.
For felony
yes,
murder.
But you do need to convict for the underlying felony.
Yeah, you need to show an intent for the underlying deadly felony.
Why though? Because
felony.
if you're willing to commit a deadly felony, right? It has to be a certain type. Like it can't be like a felony for some bullshit. There's an abbreviation for the types of felonies we're talking
dangerous
about.
felony
Right?
is usually
sure. You have to commit a felony because if you already have the state of mind to commit that sort of violent crime and somebody dies, the intent is it's obvious, right? You're not going to try to prove like, well, he just wanted to rob and steal all of his shit and maybe beat him up, but he didn't actually intend to kill. Like that would be a fool's errand. Like you could never even prove.
What does it mean to say someone intended to shoot a gun, fire a gun? What does it mean to say they intended to fire it? It means I'm not going to
go ahead.
It means it's your purpose. It's your conscious object. It's the outcome that you want. Okay, that's what people mean, and that's usually what the law refers to when you say that was their intent. Okay, if something isn't your conscious object to achieve, then it's not your intent. Now we can have some questions about. Well, I thought a good example that. It was actually crazy because Rob initially brought this up and then you brought it up and then Rob disagreed with you when you brought up the same example. So I think that was more of a show of bad faith from Rob in this particular context because he has, there's some kind of syndrome that people have and you have it too in other cases. Oppositional something syndrome where you have to be in opposition when like a certain tone of, just like right now, you have to be in opposition to my truth right now because I'm coming at you with a certain voice.
Right. Okay.
That's kind of like the syndrome you have. And Rob initially brought up the hypothetical, which was if you do this kind of felony with the intent of getting resistance and you like expect that resistance and then to kill him, I would say, yeah, you have an intent to use that weapon. Then you brought that up and agreed with that. And so what I'm not understanding is you can notice that distinction in the case of someone who is expecting resistance to happen and is planning to use the gun in response. Why don't you now distinguish between that case versus someone who is carrying the gun on the off chance, let's say, that violence occurs?
Because on the off chance of violence occurs implies that some other conscious agent is making the decision to engage in a violent act. Like, if you go and commit a violent crime, now you have made the decision to engage in violence. And if somebody else counters and now you escalated to kill them with a gun you have, that's different than you just carrying a gun in self-defense when you're not making the choice. When you're not making the choice to engage in violence. I would apply the same thing to if you're in a bar and some dude is talking shit, okay, and you want to punch him or whatever and, take the crime for assault, that's fine, whatever, do it, do the crime, do the time, whatever. But I think attacking that person while you're carrying a firearm, I think is a greater moral wrong because now you're creating a violent situation where you have the ability.
I don't care about greater moral. You're not going to distract me. The question is intent.
Okay, when I carry a firearm in public, am I intending to shoot and kill somebody in a situation that I've created?
It depends on the circumstances and the context. Are you?
No. Hold on. If I carry a firearm in public, am I intending to kill somebody in self-defense in a situation that I create?
Only if you have the expectation that resistance will come. Fair?
But if I'm carrying the firearm, I wouldn't create that situation.
Hey, come on. Hey, if you are doing a crime with a gun in your holster, thinking and hoping and expecting 100%, no one's going to even attack me. No one's even going to stop me because they're going to be so scared of my Luger. Are you intending to fire that weapon? Yes or no?
If the answer isn't yes, you have a sliver of sunlight between what's there. I would say essentially yes.
Wait. If you could prove through science, all right, I'm trying to channel into your. I know you have this good faith in you. I know you do. If you're able to read this person's mind and you can know with 100% certainty they are 100% confident that no one will dare approach them when they just take all this shit because everyone is just going to be scared of the gun on display. Now, number one, I would agree that is using the gun in a sense, right? For violence, which is your point, okay? So I agree with the underlying point that to quote unquote use a gun, people can use a gun for crime beyond just shooting it, all right? And so if that's your point,
a weapon, yeah.
100%, and there are multiple times where Rob gives that up and you're not able to capitalize on it, but there are multiple times where that happens and that it gives away the game, okay? That said, if that is the use case that we have, that like someone is just not expecting any resistance because they think people are going to be scared of the gun, then you do not have the intent, the premeditated intent to use the gun. That's the only point I'm making. And you're fighting me on it because you're psychologically incapable of giving ground in this moment.
I can't argue with that if that's the thing. I just don't think I would ever see it differently. Even if I construct the most radical hypothetical where you're going to go rob a warehouse and you've done a factory analysis scan and there's not another living human being within 10 miles. If you show up with a firearm, the only possible thing you can do with that firearm is shoot or kill somebody that's attempting to attack you or stop you from doing the crime. Like, even if there wasn't a human being there, I would still say that the person should be charged or whatever, and you should treat them as using the firearm to accomplish the crime. It's helping you do a violent act.
I agree that the act of breaking and entering with a gun at your side, even on the off chance, is by itself violent sufficient for Rob's preposterous definition of insurrection. And so you're not going to have a fight with me there. And so I agree. The breaking and entering is violent. Having a gun on you to coerce or intimidate is itself violent. And the best example of this is when Rob acknowledges that if you were to have a knife in your pocket and you were to like attempt to rape someone and say, hey, if you move at all, or if you scream, I have a knife and I'll kill you. You haven't used the knife in the sense of you haven't stabbed her, but you're still threatening her and using the knife in the broader sense, which any reasonable person would include in their definition of violence. And in fact, implicitly, Rob does. I don't disagree with you on that underlying point that just having the gun and in conjunction with a break and entry can be an independent form of violence. However, it is not the same as the intent to fire the weapon. And that's kind of what Rob was going at. But again, you were like needing to have this point that there's an equated intent when you're using a weapon, when you possess a weapon in the commission of a felony, that's tantamount to intending to.
Because with the way that Rob was toying with this, you basically would never be able to show the intent to use a firearm ever. That was the way that he was running through this example. That if I break into a home and I end up defending myself with a gun, like in Rob's world, and I think he might have fully even agreed to this, I think he did, if I were to break into his home and then he were to come by and then we end up getting to a fight and then I shoot and kill him, I might have an argument for like, morally at least, for self-defense because I didn't intend to shoot him. I didn't actually think it would get that far. But if that's the case, you literally could never, ever prove intent ever to use a firearm on somebody, even if you go to commit a violent crime, even if you have the gun on you, even if it's expected the other person would resist, you would just never be able to show that intent ever. Like even morally, you'd never be able to show it.
I believe your brain exists on multiple planes of existence, and you're at such a high level of neural activity, way beyond most people.
To be clear, that Rob explicitly agreed. I think I asked him, if you go to break into a place with armed security, knowing the armed security is going to fight back, would you have an intent to commit violence? And I think Rob said no to that, just to be clear. I don't even know if you listened to the debate, but maybe you can find clips from me afterwards. But yeah, okay. Like I'm 99% sure Rob, somebody can check it, correct me or link me or whatever I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Rob even agreed to that explicitly. He said, no, that wouldn't be an intention to commit violence, but...
I agree with you. So I'm going to separate using your higher brain capacity, and we're going to go a couple levels of layers deeper from what you just said. I agree, number one, that the question that we're dealing with when someone brings a firearm to a location, it's really good evidence, and then ends up using it. It's really good circumstantial evidence of premeditation. Okay? I'm not going to disagree with you there that someone's decision to bring a thing somewhere and then the fact that they ended up using it, that's really strong evidence of an intent, of a premeditated intent to use it. If by use it, you mean fire it, as opposed to use it for any other purpose, which I would agree would be trivial to prove in all these cases. What we're talking about here is not necessarily whether it would be easy or hard to prove. I think that bringing a gun with you and then using it is pretty strong evidence that you premeditated to use it, but it's not necessarily dispositive. Can you at least grant that?
Yeah, that's possible.
Why can't you say it more strongly? Like, yeah, that makes sense.
By
you don't want to give me the satisfaction.
No, stop. I don't know what you talk to. Literally the most bad faith people on the internet. I don't understand how you're accusing me of being bad faith here. I'm
sorry.
Is it possible that somebody could if you want to drill all the way down to the lowest caveman world, is it possible that you could break into somebody's house with a firearm on you, but you genuinely, you're thinking, well, the guy comes out, I'll just punch him or whatever. The only reason I'm carrying this firearm is in case somebody on the way to my robbery tries to rob me and I use it. Theoretically, sure. I think that is possible. Yes.
Okay.
In fact, I'm sure there have been cases where people have broken into a place and they've punched somebody when they try to whatever and they run away, even though they had a gun on them, they could have gone. I'm sure that has happened. Sure.
Yeah. That's one layer that we can go down. The other layer that we need to go down is, why the fuck does this matter? Why do we need to show that you intended to fire the gun as opposed to use it in the sense of threatening with it? And this is the example I wish you would have brought out. If you take all of Congress out at gunpoint, right? You aim guns at them. You say, get the hell out of Congress. We're taking over. And you push them all out and you take control of the building. You never actually fire a shot. You would agree, I think any reasonable person, Stephen, hopefully you would too, would agree that's a violent action, right?
Yeah, used with a firearm, yeah.
And so that's, I think, the better path than what you did, which was fighting on the...
I don't think that... I feel like sometimes you guys fantasize about other paths, and then if I would have just said this one thing, Rob would have just, I agree with that 100%.
I don't think
he would have autistically fought on every single fucking point.
Yeah.
But I don't think I would have even given up the first point, because in that first world, how do you ever show intent to use a firearm? If somebody using it in the commission of a crime can't be argued to be intention to use it before he even committed the crime.
This is the second separation. He's not saying that you wouldn't have intent to use the firearm. He's saying you wouldn't show premeditated intent.
I don't think we... did we talk about premeditated intent? Sure,
right?
Even premeditated intent. If you bring a firearm to commit a violent crime, and I can't show that as premeditated intent to use that firearm in the course of the violent crime, assuming you don't have it on you by accident or something, then how do we ever show premeditated intent to use a gun? Ever.
Well, he's just wrong that you bringing a gun someplace and then using it wouldn't be extremely powerful evidence of premeditated intent. And you could have other.
So what part is he right about that I'm wrong about?
That you are wrong that it's necessarily equative. You understand that? And your
if by
citation
necessarily
like
equative, if your
self-defense
definition
doctrine
here is that if
and felony murder,
that somebody by the way, you're never using self-defense in the commission of a felony if you shoot somebody. By the way,
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying I disagree.
Okay, that's good. Okay, that's good.
It's irrelevant.
Okay, whatever type of intent Rob is talking about here, then I don't know how it would be applicable or have anything to do with anything that's being talked about ever.
It's stupid, and you can show premeditated intent for violence because that's what the seditious conspiracy convictions require. The seditious conspiracy convictions, if you read any of that decision, require a planned use of force. Remember when they're all talking about, like, why haven't they charged anyone with insurrection, as though they would, like, defer to judicial processes or charges, let alone convictions or any process when it's, like, against their boys. But the seditious conspiracy charge requires the prosecution to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that they intended to use force or violence. That is a requirement of seditious conspiracy. And so you don't need to show that they intended to fire their weapons. And Rob's definition doesn't require an intent to fire the weapons. It just requires premeditated intent to use violence. And we have that here. Because what we have here is
Okay, I'm curious. Making this distinction, is there any point in the conversation with Rob where he admits to that?
No.
Okay. All right.
What
Well,
does that
okay.
mean?
On the this whole line of inquiry is a waste of time.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have helped at all here. It wouldn't have done anything here. It wouldn't have changed anything. Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
But you were
You
wrong.
understand
Wait,
that when I was
you were wrong?
what?
Can I get a yes? Maybe I was wrong about that.
No, I don't think so.
No, why not?
You realize that when I was referencing the Colorado Supreme Court paper, which you say over and over again that I lied about reading.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yes, now.
You
Yeah.
understand that paper, or I'm not that paper, that decision, I didn't say anything wrong about it ever. You know, for the Paulson and Baud paper, though, I did get something wrong about that, where I said, I read that whole paper. I don't remember them talking about state insurrections. And they do talk about state insurrections in that. So did I lie about reading the Paulson and Baud paper too? Or did I lie about reading everything? How, like,
I was like, oh, this is so Weasley. And it's not typical for you to be this Weasley, Stephen. Number one, saying that you got something right or wrong about a paper or an opinion, isn't the same as reading it. You understand there's a difference between citing correct
I'm trying to figure out in your mind, how are you so positive? How did I lie about reading the Colorado paper or the Colorado decision?
I will establish that in a second. But number two, on your point about Baud and Paulson, I don't say that you didn't read Baud and Paulson. I think you did read Baud and Paulson. You accused me, by the way, of not reading Baud and Paulson. I absolutely read Baud and Paulson. You accused me of not reading the executive summary of the Jan 6 report.
Commission, yep.
I absolutely did. 9/11 Commission?
Or the Jan 6, yeah.
There's contemporaneous tweets of mine referencing the opinion as I was reading it and saying that it was formatted stupidly. And so I absolutely did read that. Just making that clear.
Okay.
But, and again, Rob was wrong on the Baud and Paulson paper. His AI summary was actually false. People were saying that Rob was like, all right, he used AI, but he ended up being correct. No, the AI summary says, and I have to clear up this misinformation. The AI summary says that Baud and Paulson say that Section 3 would cover state insurrections. They explicitly say in a footnote that state insurrections would not be covered by Section 3. So the AI summary was completely and factually incorrect. On your point about why I think you're lying about the Colorado Supreme Court opinion. Number one, I watch your streams when you reference things that I care about. I was completely 100% watching everything you had to do related to insurrections and trying to push you to read this stuff. Anytime we even like slightly talked about the disqualification case, I would come on. So my number one piece of evidence for why I think you didn't read it is because I was paying close attention to everyone who was talking about this. I was paying close attention to you. I knew what you were reading. I was sending stuff. I knew when you would read stuff, and I knew that you wouldn't cite it. And so I have, I think, a great deal of personal knowledge that if you were to have read this opinion, you would have either said something, mentioned something, talked to me about something. You cited the test used by the Colorado Supreme Court. Rob is correct. That test was used by the Colorado trial court. The Colorado Supreme Court did not sign on to it. They said that the conclusion might have been right, but they did not sign off on that test. That's another indication to me that,
wait, what do you mean they didn't sign up? What do you mean they didn't sign off on the test? And what do you mean by that?
They did not sign off on the 3-pronged test. You understand that?
No, you just repeated what I just said. What do you mean by they didn't sign off on it?
When I say they didn't sign off on it, they didn't adopt it in their holding.
What was the when the Colorado Supreme Court was asked to review the decision? What was the appeal from the lower court that got it back up to they got it up to the Colorado Supreme Court again?
The Colorado trial court said that a president wasn't an officer of the United States, and so the petitioners appealed that procedural ruling up to the Colorado Supreme Court. The trial court had held that it was an insurrection, but just that it couldn't be applied to a president because the president is not an officer of the United States. And so the trial court actually ruled in Trump's favor. The Colorado Supreme Court said that's a stupid holding on the presidential office, whether it's an officer or not. And the Supreme Court said, we find that it was an insurrection, but they explicitly did not adopt the Colorado trial court's test for
why
what
did
an
they
insurrection.
then why did they get off why did they cite it then in their decision?
They cited it to say what it was, just like they cited other definitions. They said,
but if they cite that and they reverse the lower court's decision and then they let the lower courts hold, are you not signing off? Is that not literally like part of what is being questioned in the decision?
They are not adopting that test. They're saying the result is okay because any definition would have made it the definition of insurrection. Sorry, January 6th be an insurrection. But they went out of their way to say we are not adopting this test, and not to say that it was wrong, just say it's not necessary, and so we're not going to say whether it's good or bad, and we're not going to adopt any one test. So
hold on,
back to
the line. Wait, we're gonna look this up.
Yeah, you're not going to catch me on this, bro, because I know my shit.
Okay. .pdf. What was the name of this PDF for the Colorado Supreme Court?
You can just read Anderson v. Trump, Colorado Supreme Court.
Colorado Supreme Court, Anderson v. Trump. No, not this.
Or is it Anderson v. Griswold? Might be. Not bad. I'll get it for you, bro. I got you. I got it. I'll send it to you in DMs. Your last message to me is, well, fuck you.
Based.
This is 99 of the PDF and 98 of the opinion. You can go above. Yeah, we can start at 97 if you want. You were just there. Dictionaries, both old and new, the district court's order, and the briefing by the parties in the amici curiae suggest several definitions of the word insurrection. For example, Noah Webster, blah, blah,
Sure.
blah.
Okay, hold on. Yeah, because okay. Wait, so what was restate your claim again that you just made?
That the Supreme Court of Colorado did not adopt the state district court's definition of insurrection.
When it says, rather, it suffices for us to conclude that any definition of insurrection for purposes of Section 3 would encompass a concerted and public use of force or threat of force by a group of people to hinder blah, blah, blah. How is this not them, like, implicitly endorsing what the lower court uses?
Because they say that they're not adopting an all-purpose definition of insurrection, the district court made an all-purpose definition of insurrection, and all they're saying, the fact that they're specifying that what they're describing here at a minimum would fit any definition of insurrection, is going out of their way to say we're not adopting an all-encompassing definition. And
saying that you're not adopting an all-encompassing definition, in your mind, is that the same as saying we don't accept the lower court's definition of insurrection, or we're not endorsing the lower court's definition of insurrection, or...
it is synonymous in this. I say by implication, by necessity, it's not adopting and not holding the district court's definition of insurrection by necessity. They're saying we're not doing that. Where the district court said, this is what an insurrection is. The Supreme Court says we don't need to say what an insurrection is. We just know at a minimum, whatever an insurrection is, this would be an example of it.
Hold on. Give me 1 minute.
Mm-hmm. You accuse me of not reading. Explicitly say in a footnote that state insurrections would not be. Number one, I watched your stream. I think a great deal of pushing something top court. Rob is correct. They said that test was used by the test used by the Colorado Supreme Court. Rob is correct. That test was used by the Colorado trial court. The Colorado Supreme Court did not sign on to it. Are you watching what we just said?
Uh,
The conclusion might have been right, but they did not sign off on that test. That's another indication to me that
Yeah, I disagree. You're either lying or you forgot what you just said. You said that Rob was correct that they didn't sign on to that test. The implication there, whether you're aware of it or not, and you might just not be aware of the implication, when you say that the court didn't sign on to that test, you make it sound like they rejected the test. Were you just speaking unclearly there, or?
You think that me saying they didn't sign off on it is me saying they rejected it?
When you're talking about a court of appeals reviewing a lower court's decision, you're like, oh yeah, the court didn't sign off on that. Yes, that's the implication. Is that not what you meant?
It is 100% not what I meant.
Okay, that's fine. Okay.
I'm sorry if that's what you heard.
Okay. So you also, when you said Rob was correct, so Rob also meant something totally different as well then, right?
No. Rob meant what I am now clarifying as.
Okay. Hold on.
Might have been. What do you mean? That was Rob's point. Sign on to it. You can't just
hold on.
Forget what he was saying.
Restate one more time. What do you think Rob's point was?
Oh my God. Rob's point was we should not trust your test for insurrection because look at this Colorado Supreme Court decision. They couldn't even decide on what the all-encompassing definition of insurrection was.
You just added all-encompassing there. He never meant or intended that, but okay.
I'm trying to describe you in good faith as a good faith.
No, it's not in good faith. You're fabricating. This isn't a steel man. This is an unobtainium man. You're constructing an argument that Rob wasn't even capable of making.
He absolutely is capable of making this argument. He's used it on me. I've spoken with him about this.
If you can show me a single link of him summarizing the Colorado Supreme Court here in good faith, I would be fascinated to see that. Where he's saying Colorado decided that they couldn't figure out an all-encompassing definition of insurrection, and instead they just said that the lower court's definition sufficed for the case because whatever you would define insurrection as, it would include J6. If you can show me anything even remotely like that, that's fine. Because what Rob said over and over again, they didn't even have a definition. They didn't go with one. They listed 6 and said we're not going to use any of them.
He's right. He's right. They didn't land on a definition. That's what he means.
Okay.
Hang on. I will. Not only has he said this before, I was the one who brought this to his attention because he said it's so crazy how the Colorado Supreme Court has this new definition of insurrection. And I said, hang on a second. They explicitly don't have a definition of insurrection.
You understand that when he says they didn't even decide on one, and maybe just you and Rob live in your own world, like grammatically, but when you say that, what every single English-speaking human being hears is that it was completely and totally arbitrary. That's what everybody hears when you say that, right? Yes. We can pull it if you want. When you say they couldn't even decide on a definition, I don't care. If you're not Rob. When somebody says they couldn't even decide on a definition, every single English-speaking person hears you saying, wow, it must have been completely arbitrary then. That's what every person hears. And that's probably what Rob meant, by the way, in the debate.
No. You're killing me. You're killing me. I promise you, that is not what Rob meant. Rob's point is actually a little bit more sophisticated than that. Believe it or not. It's possible for Rob to be sophisticated sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes. His point is, you guys are acting like it's so obvious what an insurrection is.
Nobody's acted like that, and nobody said that, but okay.
I'm not saying anyone actually did. Although I think January 6th was an obvious insurrection. And you do too.
Hold on, what you just said there was different than what you said before.
I know
whether or not J6 was an obvious insurrection, because that's what the Supreme Court said in Colorado, by the way, is different than saying there's an obvious all-encompassing definition of insurrection. But go ahead.
We also believe that there's a clear legal, either a set of standard legal definitions or like a clear consensus on a set of definitions about what an insurrection would be. We think that
Maybe.
there's some clarity, right?
I don't
And
know
his
about
point
that,
is,
but okay.
whether you buy the premise or not, his point is you guys are acting like this is all so obvious. But look at if it was so obvious, and why did the Colorado Supreme Court like not take the opportunity to just go with the obvious definitions? That's his point. You can disagree with any of the premises of that, and there are really good counters and responses about
Which
why
I'm
that's
pretty
not.
sure I already gave what I would imagine the main response would be, and that a court isn't supposed to decide more than what's in front of it, ideally. Sometimes they can go wider, but Rob totally rejected that and said, oh, well, it's just because there's no definition of insurrection because it's all fantasy bullshit. That was basically Rob's
I'm
argument.
not saying you didn't even do a good job. You should listen to my, well, you're never going to, and you shouldn't actually, but people who are watching who want to see me be an honest reactor to your debate, like 80% of it is me glazing and saying that you did a really good job. I don't think you did a bad job in deflecting this point as well, where you're like, there are a bunch of prudential reasons why courts might not hold things they don't have to hold, especially in today's context where it seems like a lot of Supreme Courts want to decide everything they possibly can. CC, Clarence Thomas. I'm not saying you did a bad job. What I'm saying is you didn't read his fucking opinion.
Okay. Because you feel that way. Okay.
No, wait. Are you really gonna? Are you gonna contest me there?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did, but it was a long fucking time ago. But I read the Paulson and Bod paper off stream as well. So maybe I didn't read that. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I haven't read any of these things. I don't know. Maybe it's just interesting to me that like I don't think I cited a single thing from this case incorrectly.
I'm not saying you did.
But so then I don't know where you get the idea that I just never read it. It just doesn't make any sense. But who knows? Maybe I didn't.
Because I watch your stuff. You would have cited it. We would have talked about it. I was around and very active in your community while this came down. And when I came on to talk about it, suggesting I believe that you should read it, we read together the Supreme Court opinion. This Supreme Court of Colorado decision mentions a lot of the facts in the Jan 6 report that were like news to you when you're doing your Jan 6 research, because one of the holdings was that on an evidentiary basis, they were allowed to include elements of the Jan 6 report. And so it would,
they go over
to me,
broader
stun me
definitions,
if you had actually
they
read
more or less say the same thing in more words.
this opinion.
Read from them. They said insurrection,
In your Glenn Greenwald debate, in preparation for this, I gave you the Colorado trial court's definition. That didn't mean you read the paper, or read the opinion. And remember, again, the trial court opinion is the one that had that test.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think you knew deep down you weren't confident you read this. And you said you did.
I'm pretty sure the first thing I said was I thought I read it, which I think was the first thing I said to Rob. I'm still pretty sure I read this. I don't remember it. The case came out a long time ago, 9 months ago, and I don't know if I don't know if I read it in preparation for my Greenwald debate or for the Alex Jones debate, or maybe I didn't. I don't remember. But everything I cited from the paper from the decision was correct. I don't think I cited anything incorrect. I don't think I had misunderstandings about it.
The opinion. I don't think that you were relying on this opinion for a lot of your argument.
No, not really. No, but and any time I referenced it, that they used a different test or whatever. But maybe that's because it showed up in one of the Supreme Court decisions. That's possible. But I'm pretty sure that when I originally said I don't think I read it, I know that Rob didn't read more than a page of anything. For any of this. It's just such a weird thing to harp on that you think I'm like intentionally lying. Like, why would I even try to pass it off or get away with it in a debate? Imagine if he cited like a single thing from this thing that completely contradicted what I said. I was like, oh, I didn't actually read this thing at all. I'm totally up. Yeah, I'm completely fucked. Why would I even pretend? Like, in going through all of the Bolson and Pod references to the lower cases.
They can make the same argument.
Because Rob is shameless, and because there are always like friends or middle dudes like you that will defend them to the end of the earth for it. I don't know why. I have no idea why. But the idea that I would try to get away in the middle of a huge debate on this thing that I've written 20,000 words about, and I would just lie about reading it. It's just so retarded. Why would I try to do this? It's just so stupid.
I think both of you are like, you're trying to swing a little bit, and you both had little moments. And
why the both sides thing is insane. He's literally sourcing an AI for his opinions, lying about a paper that he read. What the? And you think that I might not have remembered if I read an entire district or an entire court case?
You had read it. You said you did read it, and I think now it's pretty clear.
It's still not clear. No, I said at the beginning of the debate that I thought I read it. I still think I read it. I still think I read this page.
You read it.
I still think I do. Yeah.
This page is the whole thing. You think you read this page?
No, the decision. Oh my God.
What decision?
Okay. No, it's good. Okay.
Wait, can I? Rob lied for sure about the AI thing. He lied about that. I'm not saying your lies are even equal in scale. I think that his lies worse because he's like making up a review that doesn't exist. I'm not here to compare them. I'm just saying, people were asking me, isn't it true Destiny lied? I'm like, yeah, I think he did.
Okay. Well, hey, listen, in a debate with you or anybody else, if anybody that ever wants to come up here, if I ever cite any underlying material ever, and you want to challenge me on if I've read it or if you want to go through the original material or anything ever, because I might even been the one to tell Rob, let's look at the case. I might have even been the one that say, let's Google it and look it up. I will always go through every single piece of underlying material that I've ever claimed to have read in my entire life.
I'm proud of you for that.
And am I wrong or whatever?
You are different.
But no, the idea that I would just like outwardly lie about reading it is just retarded. But hey, maybe sometimes, maybe every now and then I try to see if I can pass one under the radar.
Do you think you ever bluff sometimes?
No, why would I don't need to bluff on this. I've done more research than probably any individual online right now on this retarded J6 shit. Why the I lie or try to bluff about having read something? I said honestly, by the way, I think there's probably a good response paper to the Paulson and Bott thing that I haven't read. I haven't read that paper either. That's a really big paper that somebody could probably read and show up in a debate and spank me, because whatever academic arguments they put together, I don't know if I could rebuke those on the spot. So no, I don't. Why the fuck would I lie about shit that I've read or not? It's so stupid.
We just need to turn down the rhetoric, okay? I feel like things got out of hand in this conversation real quick. And I don't want this to affect our dynamic going forward.
Nothing affects our dynamic. If the J6 6-hour debate didn't affect our dynamic, then nothing will affect our dynamic. Okay.
Like, can't we all just get along? And you guys can clown on Rob a little bit. I don't even think that you're like wrong for clowning on him. I'm not glazing him. I'm just saying, hey, let's give him another chance. All right. I should know. This motherfucker brings me on streams and says I won't talk to Pisco unless he has a 2-hour intro debate on Jamal Bowman's fire alarm every time. I'm well aware that he can say some inflammatory shit or things that rub people the wrong way. I'm the first to admit it. But this was a mistake. It was bad. It was a lie.
What was a mistake?
I think give him another chance to even go on AI to find confirmation about a book report.
Just to be clear, just one more time, why was I upset about that?
Because he misrepresented it. He said it was a review.
Okay, he didn't misrepresent it. He blatantly, utterly lied. The only reason...
I agree, it was a lie, yes.
No, not just a lie. It was like malicious and in nature. Like, if I would get caught like doing anything like that ever... It would be bad,
yes.
It would literally be brought up every single debate until the end of time. Like if I were caught in the middle of a debate claiming I'd read a paper that doesn't exist, and then when trying to find what I'd read, I'd show somebody evidence of me bullying a bot to agree with me on an answer, like I would be destroyed, right? He didn't misrepresent anything or tell a little, like he, with malice, forethought, okay, asked a bot questions and then bullied it into giving him the answers that he wanted, and then pretended there's like a whole chain of shit going on here that's so much worse than just even telling a simple lie or making a mistake in telling a lie. There's like a whole chain of like malicious, like premeditation.
All right, I'm gonna say this scenario, and you tell. I'm not saying I agree with it, but just tell me if this even sounds plausible. He's like, I think Bot and Paulson did say this. Oh, I see a screenshot. I did take a screenshot of Claude. Can't show this because this is Claude. I can say I don't know where it came from. Like, do you see that scenario playing out where it's more like, I'm a dumbass, let me try to hide it?
Why not just... Are you saying that he forgot that he asked an AI? Is that what you're saying?
I don't think you can say he forgot he asked an AI, but where this is a lot less intentional, because you can make the same kind of argument where, did he really think he was going to get away with it?
Yes, he did. The only reason he didn't is because I asked him for a picture of what he was talking about. You understand? That's the only reason that he didn't get away with it.
Came out.
What?
Yeah. But then he gives you a screenshot of like the very clearly AI prompt. What do you think is going on there when he decides to give you like...
That's after like I bully him for 2 minutes to show me. I'm like, what were you reading? And he's like,
he could have very easily cut that out, right? That last part. So what do you think is going through his head as he gives...
Well, because he'd already read from something, and when I tried to type in the quote online, nothing came up. So now he has to show me something.
The last part that makes it like very obvious that it's AI. Where it's like, I'm sorry, master, please...
Maybe he thinks I won't recognize it. because even the screenshots that he sends me are cut off. Right? Because even the screenshots that he sends me are misrepresentations. Do you remember that? I'll bring them up on stream. These screenshots don't show that anything was prompted. They don't show that anything was coming from an AI. They just look like a screenshot of notes. So maybe at the end, maybe he thought I wouldn't recognize this as being from a.
He sent. What did he send you? He didn't send you the bottom part initially.
He did, but I don't think he read that when he was sending it. I don't think he realized I was included in the bottom part.
Yeah. What I'm trying to say is like, maybe the fact that it was like such a ridiculous and obvious AI thing with that last part cuts against some of the most malicious interpretation. Maybe it was just.
I asked him like 4 times, Rob, did you send me ChatGPT? Was this ChatGPT, Rob? And he said over and over again, no. What do you think is going on there?
Oh, he did?
Yes, I asked him explicitly. Was this ChatGPT? And he said no.
But it was Claude.
I think he says that like the second or third time he said Claude, but I don't know if he was trying to joke there or not, because if he was being serious there, then
he would have just owned it in that moment.
Yeah, unless he thinks there's a significant
I think it was a lie. I mean, like, listen, I agree it was a lie.
With malice, forethought, premeditated.
It was a bit malicious. Yes, it was a bit malicious.
Hold on.
Yeah.
For your deliberation. Okay, quote, Rob was reading someone's review of the paper. He refers to the author of the review as they, already cementing his deception.
Oh, no.
It's not a they, it's an LLM. Destiny asked to be linked to what Rob was reading. Rob offered a screen cap. Destiny asked who the author is, or for Rob to identify the review he was reading. Rob falsely cited the original paper that he was reading a review of. Destiny calls attention to this and asks for the review of that original paper Rob was reading from. Rob says, I only screen capped the article I was reading, so I don't know the exact article. It's not an article. Ooh. Rob tepidly, murkily cites Pisco and a Safari search as his source for the paper. Destiny asks
I want to clear misinformation because I saw somewhere, so it was like, Pisco did this. I'm like,
Destiny
I did
asks,
not.
Again, what the fuck Rob is reading. Rob, it's not a response. It was just like an abstract of the paper. Destiny asks for a quote from the paper Rob is reading from so that he can search it and find it online. Rob says, well, shit, the only thing they have quoted, let me see, right? These aren't quotes, but it's a sort of summary. Rob is again referring to quotes from the original paper instead of what he's reading. Destiny asks for a picture of what Rob's reading. Rob agrees, but seems to have some trouble sending the pictures of what he read to Destiny on Discord. Destiny says, oh, okay, so maybe, I don't know if this was supposed to be tongue-in-cheek or not, but Destiny says, this isn't a ChatGPT summary, right, Rob? And then Rob says, no, it's not ChatGPT. I think it's Claude. I don't know if he was joking there or being serious, or if you want me like the best good faith interpretation is maybe he thinks that Claude is the author of a paper that he's talking to.
No, I don't think that's true. I agree that it's a lie. I don't disagree that it's a lie.
Does Rob think that ChatGPT is like fundamentally different than Claude? Hold on. Wait, let me.
I don't know.
Okay, so the Coy Griffin, the one case where someone has basically been kicked off a ballot for insurrection, here's what their judge said. This Edge case.
Hold on, I need you to link me before you read it, and we have to find the original thing because I know you asked ChatGPT for it, so I need to find the original thing.
I did not ask ChatGPT. This is from. Oh shit! I already have the photo. I didn't ask ChatGPT for shit. Let's see here.
Like the fact that I wonder actually. Now I wonder if he thinks that Claude is an author because he's indignant when he says it too. I didn't ask ChatGPT for shit. Why would you say that and then admit to using another LLM? That doesn't even make sense.
Oh, no.
Oh my god! I wonder if he thinks Claude is like a judge or something. Hold on. Oh, he doesn't answer here. Oh.
Okay, I think this is it. And then if I remember, I'll actually send you.
Oh.
This is from the Coy Griffin case, directly from the case. Let me find this for you.
Directly from the case.
I think it's.
Oh, hold on.
Oh no.
I hope it's this one.
Okay, hold on. Do you know what paper or case or anything this is from?
Yeah, I think it's from the Coy Griffin decision.
Okay. Coy
Griffin.
Let me.
I'm sending it to you right now. I think it's from this one. Okay. Now this is the Edge case that we talked about here. Let me read this.
Wait, hold on. I have to find this case because I don't like to read images.
Page 2.
How many minutes after is it?
The link I sent.
Okay, this is the state of New Mexico v. Coy Griffin, who is the defendant.
Let me read. Okay. Griffin was this guy in New Mexico. The decision to keep him off the ballot directly gave you the challenge.
This case was
the ballot. He filed laws designed environmental regulation sets on foot a city or two.
Wait, is this after he said the Claude thing, or
the
does this come up later?
Under
Hold on.
offender or uprising in each writing or theory that there be constituted literal
Or aiding and abetting an insurrection. This is at 426. Oh, okay. He's already said Claude. I don't know why he gets so. I'm just not aware of anything in this. Sure, okay.
I won't read the whole thing. This is third. I didn't read the whole paper. Being honest with you, I read someone's review of the paper, so it is possible that they're wrong.
Wait. Are you reading from the paper? No, you're reading review of the paper.
I'm reading review of the paper.
Hold on.
So it says historical context. They provide evidence that during the Reconstruction era, Section 3 was applied to individuals. I started to read some paper. I think it's 114 pages. I can send you a screen cap, but I just.
Or can you tell me who the author is, or tell me what this paper is?
Yeah, it is. The Sweep and Force of Section 3 by William Bode and Michael Stokes Paulson.
Wait, I thought you were reading a review of that paper.
Oh, yeah, I'm reading. So this was, let me see.
Even that's a classic Rob lie. Oh, yeah. Like he pretends to understand. Like, he's just flat out lying.
What did he say? What did he say? Sorry.
I ask him what paper he's reading, and then he cites the paper.
Paulson original.
Yes. So he's.
No, I didn't. I only screen capped the article I was reading, so I don't know the exact article. So what happened was I talked to Pisco like 2 weeks ago. He sent me articles that he was using and you were using, such as this Graber testimony in the Coy Griffin hearing, and which linked to, from that testimony, it linked to Bode and Paulson. And so as I was searching Bode and Paulson that evening, was just doing, I don't know, when I have a Safari search.
So you searched for a response to Bode and Paulson debate, and then
well, no, I just searched what they thought about state insurrections, and that's what came up. And then I downloaded the paper. I have the paper, but I haven't read it through.
Wait, so are you reading the paper itself, or are you just reading? Because it sounded like you're reading like a review or a response to the paper.
It's not a response. It was just like an abstract of the paper.
Okay, wait. Can you tell me give me one quote from it so I can find this just in the paper and I can read it real quick.
Sure. Let me see. Well, shit. The only thing they have quoted. Let me see. Right. These aren't quotes, but it's sort of summary. So they argue that the purpose of Section 3 was to protect the constitutional order at all levels.
Hold on. Protect the.
I'll see if I can find this vote.
Constitutional order.
Sweep and force of Section 3. The sweep, force.
This takes me like 20 minutes to pry this out. Oh, wait, can you send me even the picture of what you're reading?
Yeah, I can try to do that.
I'll go for it. Hold on.
It's from the water park this weekend. If you
nice. Later.
Well, shit, I don't know if they're sent or not. Yeah, okay. There we go.
Wait, okay, and then I think we just watch this.
All right. I'll look for this as well. I think I got...
I don't know all matters of law. I can only read things and recite what other people before me have said. Yeah.
So you're saying that there's this obvious standard legal definition of the term insurrection. Can you name me the two cases that have sought to define?
Hey, those are not cases I cited to define insurrection. I said those are the ones that was part of their case, but these are the.
No, are you aware of any?
No, hold on, wait. Those are not cases I cited to define insurrection. I said those are the ones that was part of their case, but these are the cases that have utilized their definition in order
to. What I mean, right.
Okay.
So that's for the past 100 years. That's the only two you're aware of, correct?
For anybody else been like seditious? I think so.
Okay. Now, your argument is that there's this standard legal definition. Did the Colorado case use the same definition as the court case in Arizona or New Mexico?
I think the Colorado case actually used a 3-prong test because I read through that one, but it was a while ago. But I think they used a 3-prong test for insurrection. So obviously it's not
right. I'll concede to you that New Mexico uses the definition you used, right? That's the definition they use, the exact one you're using in the New Mexico case.
Wait, I don't know if that's the exact one wait, where do they say? Do they have the 4 parts here listed outright in the New Mexico?
Yeah, the amicus brief I was reading from, that's from that case. Graber specifically outlined.
The amicus brief I was reading from? He wasn't.
It's cited by him specifically. That's where the Graber... Go ahead.
Hold on. An amicus brief is when somebody that's an uninvolved party writes in to make an argument in favor of one party or the other. He's just lying about everything. Hold on. I'm just trying to find him when he finally says the Claude thing. Well, not necessarily involved in the case. I don't understand what you just told me.
I'll have to find specifically, I don't know if it's from the amicus brief, but it's from that court. That, to my understanding, is the definition that they used. That's the definition that court case used.
Colorado, wait. Graber in this amicus brief, this amicus brief is not just citing to New Mexico. He's citing to way more. He's citing to all the historical language at the time.
Right. I understand that, but I'm saying this is the definition that the court in New Mexico ended up going with to determine that, yes, actually, Coy Griffin engaged in an insurrection.
Gotcha. Okay.
Do you agree with that? That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying...
Okay. Yeah, they might have. Yeah, maybe this is what... Yeah, sure. Do they actually cite? They do. They do cite to Graber multiple times.
Yes.
It seems like yes.
Yes.
Okay.
What was the definition? If this is the obvious legal definition of insurrection, what was the definition that the Colorado case went with?
I don't remember. I know they used a 3-prong test instead of a 4-prong test.
I know what the definition they used. You want to know what it was?
What?
They chose to not accept the definition. That's what they did. They said, we're not even going to define it. What they said was, here's one possible, they cited like 3 possible definitions of insurrection. And then they said, but we're not going to pick any of those. We're just going to say, based on any definition, we think what happened on January 6th was an insurrection.
Hold on. But you're telling me that in the Colorado Supreme Court case, they didn't list out criteria by which they think that
They gave definitions of insurrection, including a contemporary definition from like some dictionary back in like 1820. Then they gave like a couple more definitions, and then they expressly said, we're not picking a definition. We're not. My question to you is, if
Hold on,
this
wait,
is
wait, one quick thing, and then you can answer your question. You acknowledge that the Supreme Court rejected Griffin's appeal on this case, correct?
correct, and so
Fuck, where's the Claude thing? When does they say Claude? Was there anything else you want to bring up about all this?
Listen, I just want you to I need you to agree with me on what my position is, okay? You agree that my position is that Rob lied to you? Yes?
No, I don't think so, but...
But I'm telling you that.
I'm just not
You
aware.
think I'm lying to you right now that I think he's lying?
The way that you're using it is like so weak and tepid. I don't, however you're phrasing it, however you're saying it, no, I don't agree that.
A lie, a deliberate, intentional falsehood.
That this is what I would say. You tell me if you agree with this or not. This is my position. My position is Rob did no serious preparation for this conversation, which is fine, by the way. He literally started... Huh?
He admits to. He admits that.
Yeah, he said it at the beginning that he's working a ton and he didn't have time, which is totally fine, by the way. He did no serious preparation, but he pretended to. He faked reading the amicus brief. He faked reading these underlying court cases, and he faked reading a review of that paper, and he thought he could pass off that fakedness to me in the middle of the debate by summarizing things, by trying to attack my lack of knowledge because I hadn't read like the underlying court cases that were being referenced by the amicus brief that I'd read. So he was trying to claim that I didn't read. And through all of that, he was only floating on whatever he could pull or abuse Claude to give him. That's what I think he did. And that was the goal going in. He was hoping that I would never ask for proof of what he read, but that he could just poke enough holes into my lack of knowledge to try to win the debate. That's what I think he did. And all of that was intentional from the beginning.
First of all, I think he's upfront with the fact that he didn't, I think he said that he only read like a few pages of what I had said him even, and he admitted that he'd done no preparation at all. At some point,
sure, but I think I could be wrong. I think at some point in this, I think he tries to make fun of me for not being completely aware of, for not having read through the entire underlying court cases, because I think when I listen back to this now, I actually think I know what happened. I think what happens is I cite in my debate with Andrew Wilson some of the quotes that are found in this amicus brief, and I think Rob thinks that I'm pretending to have read the underlying cases because he hasn't read this amicus brief, and he thinks that I'm just pulling quotes from those cases because he hasn't read this brief. He doesn't know that I'm just citing from this brief.
That's what he does. Well, I agree that his strategy typically is...
Yeah, so I don't think that he's... Yeah, so I think that he is... Yeah, he's just being bad faith and disingenuous literally throughout this entire fucking thing.
Well, I think that his tactic of quote mining to try to like put you off guard and to just put holes in your thing as opposed to being on defense, I think that's just typically him being par for the course. Like he'll do the same thing with the various IG reports. The who's the special counsel, walrus-looking guy?
Durham.
Durham.
Yeah.
He does the same with the Durham report, other things like that, where he'll quote mine. And so I agree with you that that's kind of a tactic that he uses.
So it's difficult to find
I literally
an
just
exact
told you
definition of
do you accept, or
persons in
asked you,
force.
do you accept that I am asserting that Rob lied about the AI thing? And you said you wouldn't accept that.
Okay, yeah. As long as you agree with everything I just said, sure. Yeah.
Well, I think he was open about the fact that he didn't no preparation. He was just quote mining and trying to poke holes.
No,
I just think
he wasn't open about that. He misinterpreted, or no, I'm sorry, he misrepresented and made it sound like he'd read a lot more of the underlying material than he had when he'd read nothing. He was not open about that. He misrepresented and lied about the extent of his reading. He claimed that he'd read a paper, then he claimed that he just read an abstract, or he was quoting from an abstract, then we found out that paper didn't exist.
That was like the AI lie.
Yeah, but he does this in. I think he does this with some of the court cases as well. He makes fun of me for not having read through the entirety of all the underlying court cases as well, and he's pretending to have read these things.
Okay, well, you think by making fun of you, he's claiming implicitly to have read it better than you? Is that fair?
I believe so. Hold on, wait. Let me listen to this real quick. Hold on.
Oh, well, there was a case where they ruled this was insurrection. There was the New Mexico case, and there was the Colorado case. You didn't even fucking read the court decision, man.
Rob, I literally told you like 20 times that they use a three-pronged thing for their decision of insurrection in this case. How many times did I do not?
So you did read it before? That's what you said?
A long time ago, yes. Or at the very least, an executive summary. But I'm pretty sure I read the case, yes.
So you read it before, but you were unaware that they specifically said we're not giving an actual definition.
Yeah, I think the implication here is that he's done more preparation, or that he's aware of things that I'm not aware of because of, I think that's pretty simple.
Wait, what did he just say?
He's questioning whether I'm aware of some Supreme Court thing or whatever.
Yeah, but you didn't read this case.
You keep saying that. Oh my God. I just had a brain blast
Why?
moment. I understand.
No, don't say it. What are you saying?
It feels so good. We had this debate on August 7th. Prior to August 7th, you told Rob that I haven't read this case, right?
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so, or you're 100% positive?
I'm 99% positive I did not tell him you hadn't read this case. I've told him you don't read the shit I send you. I've said
Did
that.
you tell him that you sent me the Colorado case?
No.
You don't
No,
think he ever heard that ever from you that I haven't read? I think that's what happened.
No.
I think that's what happened. And that's why Pisco is on this hill so much, because it was part of the prep that he gave Rob.
No,
I bet that's what happened. I think that's what happened.
This is a conspiracy.
1 trillion percent.
I never said you hadn't read the Colorado opinion to him prior to this debate.
Next, I'm going to find out that Rob or that Pisco is actually Iranian or Russian. Okay, where are you from? I don't know where your family's from. You've never actually proved any of that before.
Oh, do you want me to send you my birth certificate?
What, the ones that they printed you out of the Kremlin before you flew over here?
Bro, like, we need to get all my, because there's a lot of slander going on here.
Okay,
I admit that Rob lied. I admit that he was bad faith in many points in this conversation. You can go to my review stream. You don't have to. I'm not telling you. You guys can all put nopers in the chat. I'm not saying go do it. I'm just saying you can do it. Don't put nopers in the chat. And I say, and I call him out every time that I think he's being bad faith. I think that you won on the substance of the debate. I just don't think you should be blacklisted. Is that so crazy?
Okay.
And I also think that you lied about reading this opinion.
Okay. Okay.
I just don't think he should be blacklisted, because there are people that you talk to have done way worse things than this little Claude episode.
That I still talk to? Who?
I'd have to take maybe a minute, and which I'll take right now to think. Just give me a minute. I think Justilk maybe something.
I don't think I debate politics with Justical a lot.
There's some welly wieners that are still around, right? And Welly Ween has had some good moments, bad moments. Let me think. Vosh did a bunch of crazy things before he went too far, but you kept him around for a while.
Yep, 5 years ago or whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll think about it. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Later.
Okay. I love you. Be careful. Jesus, what a rabbit hole.